Geo for Ember Games, bringing you the second half of Metro Redux on PlayStation 4 with Metro Last Light Redux. I finished the first game in the series, Metro 2033, a couple weeks ago, and you can find that review on my channel. I currently don't have a way to count individual games in the collection as complete, so I decided to go ahead and finish the entire release of Metro Redux for PlayStation 4, not really because I was curious about the future of Artyom and the Russian Metro system. That said, wow, talk about a turnaround. I read some reviews on Last Light and saw that people were upset because the game wasn't as survival horror-y as 2033 was. What they really meant was that when you shoot an enemy it dies, and they threw away most of the crappy combat mechanics and replaced them with real shooter ones. I was also doing some research about Metro 2033 Redux and saw a couple places where they'd said they'd taken the original game and used the Last Light modifications to the engine to make the game better. I had not been impressed with those modifications, but nearly every aspect of gameplay in Last Light Redux is far more solid, from its tighter aiming to its hit detection, like hitting guys through shelves. There's a little bit of an issue with cover still, although this time you can see the wooden boxes you're hiding behind get shredded, but there were some places I wasn't sure if shooting through cover was intentional or not. Maybe they just had a higher caliber weapon than I thought. Apparently the flying demons, though, still don't have to pay attention to walls. The stealth of Last Light feels a bit tighter as well. The AI still isn't quite there, but we're getting there. I ended up stealthing the first couple of guys in a room with a silenced weapon or some stealth takedowns, and then just decided to start causing general mayhem. There were significantly fewer collision issues, with enemies going through stairs and walls this time. The only place I really found was an NPC. When you try to get in their path, they'll just lift you up or go through you. Fun. The gun customization was screen for screen the way it was in 2033 Redux, so it's apparent this is one system that was taken over. Unfortunately, the upgrade system is just still not very interesting to me. The 3 guns I picked up at the beginning of the game, I pretty much kept until the last level, where I finally swapped one out. While you can still purchase bullets, and there are claymore mines in addition to Molotovs, throwing knives, and grenades, I couldn't find any air filters for sale anywhere. At one point, I had to keep taking off and putting my mask back on because it would give sort of a 10-second delay where Artyom would choke but not die, and I couldn't find any filters. Once you're in a level, there's not really a way going back, and when you start at a checkpoint where you have 10 seconds of air left, kind of caused some issues. Oh yeah, so the story. So I do have to give some mild spoilers here to broach this subject. The world of Metro is a post-apocalyptic Russian underground as the world was destroyed with nuclear blasts in World War III. The humans that survived live in subway stations and fight advancing packs of hungry mutants and various factions of Nazis and communists. Most of the time the air underground is breathable, but when you go to the surface, you have to wear a gas mask and keep an eye on your filter levels so you don't choke and die. At the end of Metro 2033, according to the canon ending, Artyom nuked the botanical gardens to rid humanity of the creatures that had become known as Dark Ones. Then, the author of the book, Lakovsky, coming pretty freshly off a recent read of Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, makes you feel guilty for a xenocide of a species that was just trying to reach out to humanity. But when they tried to talk to humans through psychic connections, the human brain couldn't handle it. That is, except for Artyom. So where 2033 was the quest for annihilation, Last Light is the quest for redemption from it. But there's no need for a speaker for the dead, as one little guy did survive. I never did quite grasp that these Dark Ones were radioactive mutants or aliens, and after finishing the game, I'm still not sure. From a narrative perspective, though, this game had me way more hooked than 2033. There's a lot more camaraderie and betrayal, and like one of the NPCs I was traveling with got captured, and I really felt personally that I needed to rescue him.
What's that?
Once you meet the little Dark One, I wanted him to hang around because he was learning and teaching as we explored the post-apocalyptic world together. So yeah, I enjoyed playing this game, even though apparently I got the worst of the game's 2 possible endings, and this time not the canon one. You see, in 2033, the non-canon ending was your reward for going out of your way to be the good guy, working your way up the game's hidden morality meter. In Last Light, it seems the same morality meter is applied, but this time if you didn't do enough good in the world, you still get the heroic, but bad non-canon ending. After finishing, I looked through a walkthrough of some of the positive karma moments, and I don't know that there's really many of them that you'd find on your own. For example, I heard this little kid crying for his teddy bear, but I can't think of any instance in this series I've been able to pick up an item and take it to someone for a fetch quest. Just didn't know it was a thing. Last Light has a section that prodded and poked what I wanted from the Metro series, as stated in my 2033 review as well. There are a couple chapters where Artyom's given a rail car to move between destinations. There are side doors and switches to flip the direction of the track. I almost felt a glimpse of freedom in a Fallout 3 sense of the word, and I wanted it. I want an open world Metro game. But the one thing the sequel didn't get away from is having entire chapters where you just walk through a station and listen to story points, It's 20 minutes in before you even see a weapon, and aside from that railcar section, Last Light is still very much a corridor shooter with some tense moments of horror and some annoying moments of survival. I think Fallout 3 just set the bar too high for survival first-person games. The only place Last Light really gets frustrating from a combat perspective is when you're inundated with these tap-dancing bears. I mean, you can't move quickly enough, there's not a lot of environments set up for strategy, and then you have these Half-Life elevator moments where an endless stream just comes at you while you wait for the elevator to take its sweet time. The surface levels are significantly less obtuse in Last Light, with an objective usually given, like, hey, you see that church on the horizon? Go for it. And fewer places where you think you can go but can't. Some of the swampy areas even had makeshift flags where it looks like someone had marked the path, as one would expect in an environment such as that, people having crawled these wastes for some 20 years now. So yeah, overall Metro Last Light was a much more enjoyable experience than 2033. It's a shame you can't really skip the first and go to the second, because you do get a lot of back history on the factions and the Dark Ones and what Artyom has been through. I mean, it's a true sequel that takes place a short amount of time after the first, so I really feel like you'd be missing out if you went for 2 without playing 1. Last Light was a 54 on my scale. 2033 it ended up with a 38, so this was definitely just a little bit more cohesive of a game. Made it to the plus side of an average. Thanks for watching, comrades. This is Jiro for Umber Games.